Thank you all. It's been great to be here. I'm particularly connected to Milton Keynes. One of my first projects out of university was working on the map, the wayfinding system here, a very, very long time ago, and I spent a long time with my head tilted to 15 degrees as the city kind of rotates. And so I have a 15-degree kind of kink in my neck that is forever Milton Keynes. The question of what the future for mobility is in 50 years' time is obviously huge, and I thought rather than trying to tackle the whole thing, I would pick one very specific thing, and just to kind of echo a lot of the points that I think we've heard already today, that really there are more questions to ask than answers to be given at this point. And so even picking one very small thread and kind of digging into that, I hope will kind of raise up a lot more questions and make us think a bit more about, for me, what's most important, which is the human experience. We've seen lots of technology today, and it's the first conference I've spoken at with a 360 camera, so hello to the virtual reality people watching. I would love to have a little bit more of the human need, the people that we're designing for, making sure that we're solving real problems for real people. And actually, to pick up on a thread from one of the previous talks from Jeff, that middle of that amazing diagram of everything in the future, which I thought was a great way to finish, shared mobility. And sharing, I think, is a key thing that whatever part of the transport system or the mobility network you're thinking about how we share it is going to be one of the most important things. In fact, in America today, I think 75 or 76% of journeys are people traveling in a vehicle by themselves. 3/4 of all the people traveling in America are in a car by themselves. So it's kind of easy to see the opportunity there to make more of that. So I'm going to take you through a slightly futuristic story with some more nice renders of what the future might look like. But really, I don't want to talk about the technology. It's interesting to think about physical design, digital design, the experience, how it all comes together. But I'm much more interested in talking about how it feels and the kind of the new behavior that we're all going to have to adopt if we're going to change to a more shared future. So the day starts, it's nice and sunny, the smog levels are low in Milton Keynes today. And you set your car to ride-sharing mode. Immediately questions, do I own this car? Have I leased it? Is it in ride-sharing mode every day? Do I make money from this? Am I going to start receiving messages? Will it feel weird to share a car with someone else? Is it going to be a very quick thing to go from a place where we own the vehicle to we just access it when we need it? That's a really big shift that we've seen in media and music and film, but cars are a different space, and a lot of the research we do, the personal vehicle is a very different thing. It's much more kind of intimate space, and so sharing it, I think, is going to be an interesting thing to design for, to change people's behavior. Later in the day, on your way to work, you pick up your first passenger. Am I going to interact with that person? Are they just going to get into the back quietly and sit down and work? Am I going to feel like a taxi driver? Make some small talk? Nice bag? Not sure about the hair. Or will that person just get in and put their headphones on and that'll be fine and we can all travel on to work? And more interestingly, actually, when you think about this vehicle, maybe it's electric, maybe it's autonomous. There's a steering wheel in this diagram, but maybe there isn't one in the future. When you take some of the technology out that's in a vehicle today, you get other space available. So what's it like when this vehicle, I think we had a picture in the previous slides about mixing people and goods being moved around the city. What does it feel like when there's a locker in the vehicle? And that's not someone I know, but they've put their package in to get sent back to their house, and the vehicle drives off. And it's going to feel very strange. It might feel really natural, actually. It might feel really normal if you buy the vehicle and this is set from the kind of the first thing that you experience. I think transitioning into it is going to be strange. If these moments kind of switch one by one, suddenly is my boot going to be someone else's, or do we just have to jump to a whole new technology platform? And these are the kind of questions that we like to think about a lot. I work for IDEO as a design company. I fear I'm very close to that white 25 to 50-year-old. I'm not an engineer, and we do spend time talking to people, and actually, again, I want to advocate on the importance of going out and talking to people. So that is a vague vision of the future that might be 10 years away, it might be 50 years away. It may be very close in certain parts of the world already. But what we do as a design company is spend a lot of time talking to people and understanding their needs, because although technology can move quickly and business can move quickly, people's needs and their behaviors move more slowly. So we really want to start understanding the way people are going to react to all of this. As a design company, we are about 700 people. I won't do a full presentation of IDEO, but we are small but global. And actually, I think when you look at different parts of the world. Some parts of the world are 50 years ahead of other parts of the world already. So the question of what 50 years looks like, you can start to answer that by looking around the world to different parts of the world. In fact, my slightly embarrassing introduction, which I must edit down, I spent 6 months in San Francisco in our office there, and coming back to living in London is like traveling through time into the future. The transport network here in London, sorry, not here, but in London is exceptional compared to San Francisco. So you don't have to look very far to find, signs of what the future might be. We're also not strictly a mobility company. We work across lots of different industries, and I heard this in the drone panel earlier, looking at other places, like don't look to your competitors to find inspiration about where the future will be, that other industries, other technologies, other places are tackling some of the same problems, and we might learn more about what it feels like to share a car from Netflix or Spotify than from Nissan or Ford. We also like to kind of cast out into the future. We are a design company. We use design at the kind of very early stage to set the strategy of where things might go and to inspire the future, and to design to detail things as we move closer to engineering as a sort of next step beyond what we do. We've looked to the future of what the kitchen might be, the future of the book, even the future of aging, which I think is another trend that I could spend 20 minutes talking about, just what aging will do to or the requirements for our transport system. But the slides I showed before, the bottom left as well, they're all from a piece of work that we've done, looking at different, again, threads of what the future might look like, and I'd love to sort of talk more with everyone here about that, and invite you to kind of go and have a look at it. It's automobility.ideo.com, and we've looked at the future of driving. I'm going to click that off. The future of package delivery and what that might look like, and again, another thing that, echoing from a previous talk, what it might look like when the vehicle you're driving is the place you do work in. So I get to work the moment I step into that vehicle, and again, if that vehicle doesn't need a powertrain and an engine and a steering and a gears and all that stuff, that we radically change what the vehicle looks like and change what it does, and then suddenly we've got an interesting place where a car company is competing with Skype, because do I drive to work? Do I get in one of those? Do I just dial in? It's all going to get very, very complicated, and I think one thing that will help us understand and bring us back to something that makes sense, and I heard the phrase first principles in the drones panel earlier, and I love that phrase, because for us first principles are what people care about. So when I think about what will shape the future, aside from the specific threads, I think there are three kind of key things to watch. Obviously, technology is something we've talked a lot about today. Technology will move forward whether we like it or not. Technology is virtually a species of its own that will move forward with our very gentle guidance. So we can look to that for inspiration. We can try and harness it. We can look for the good things and the bad things that come from it. You can also look to business disruption, especially startups. The people coming in to solve those people's needs are looking at new ways to make money, new business models. The two get very powerful when they're combined together, if you've got interesting technology and a new way of selling it to people. But for us, the most important thing is people. So the ideal is this, the Venn diagram overlap in the middle, where you're thinking about what people need, what technology could deliver to solve those needs, and how that all makes money to be a sustainable, meaningful company. But I kind of, again, my final kind of point to advocate for people is start with the people. Don't start with the technology. It's very easy to find a new piece of technology and say, okay, what should we do with it? How do we sell it? Who needs this technology? It's always more powerful and a more durable advantage to start with tackling people's needs, even when you're thinking really far into the future. Starting with the needs they have today, looking to parts of the world where they might already be experiencing and playing with some of the behaviors that we want to see here. And it might be in different industries where those people are experiencing things. But people is, for us, a safer place. And ultimately kind of brings you back to a point where you're thinking about not just the impact. And I think there's a further slide to this as we move forward, to think not just about individuals, but the system itself, like the whole city. If we're just dealing with individual people and delivering a great experience to them, we might end up with Uber again, which is an exceptional experience and a terrible company and not a great thing for the future of the world of transport. So the people are really important, but I think there's more conversations to be had about the system itself and the whole city and how all of that interconnecting stuff fits together. And I'd love to talk to anyone who's interested in that about how we tackle that, because I definitely can't answer that question either. So thank you. If anyone wants a ride home, I'm parked outside. You saw me in the camera. Thank you.